All right, welcome back to The Fuse Show. My name is Bud. I am Chief of Staff at Xfusion.io and co-host of The Fuse Show. I'm excited to be joined today by my guests, Jordan Silverman and Max Weiner. Jordan and Max are co-founders of Budge Technology, and both are multi-generation in the food and restaurant business. They hope to solve focal issues in restaurants with technology. Jordan, Max, it's great to have you on the show.
Thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
Not a problem. Hey, so let's go ahead and start with Budge. We have got a lot to talk about. We've never had actual co-founders on the show, so we'll get into some of that dynamic here later. But let's go ahead and start with Budge Technology. Tell us what it is and kind of how that came about.
Sure.
So Budge Technology
You got it, Mike.
is ordering software for restaurants. It started from a need of speed. Our restaurant is high-speed takeout restaurant, and we would get traffic jams at the ordering station and cash register. So we wanted people to be able to order at their leisure and then fire the orders right into the kitchen. So we built a point-of-sale system that does exactly that. Prints right to the kitchen, right to the screens. You don't have to get your order wrong with anybody. You're entering it yourself. So it's like a kiosk in your hand.
Nice.
Later, started adding more pieces to it as we've been going, and now we have a dine-in component, we have delivery component, so there's lots to it.
All right, so forgive me if I make this a little too simple. Say, like, I'm going to Applebee's, and they have those little kiosks at the desk. Is it the same sort of thing as that?
It's very similar to that, except it's on your phone, not some tablet or little station that's already at the table. So for hygiene and battery charging purposes,
Okay.
I think our solution's much slicker.
So it's a true contactless feature.
Yes.
Nice.
So Max saw a lot of issues in their line. They have Max's Steaks. Our restaurant has high volume restaurant, has a lot of people. The restaurant can almost not even handle the volume. So a lot of customers were upset in line because they were waiting for so long. Now, the one issue that we were solving is trying to put something in the customer's hands so they don't have to wait and they can just skip the line. And that's kind of how the term Budge the Line came about. Then everything kind of trickled in. All the other features that we added kind of trickled in from there.
Okay, so when I was getting ready for the show, I did look up Max's Steaks, and I do have to say, like, there's one picture of a gentleman that has a steak that is literally the size of his arm.
That's it.
That did look pretty fantastic. I've been to Pennsylvania, never been to Philadelphia, never had a true Philly cheesesteak, but that really made me kind of want one. That thing looked fantastic. So I don't know. Congratulations there, but that would make me want to stand in line for quite a while if I could get a cheesesteak the size of my arm. But yeah, I would see that how that would be a pain point for you. I mean, people standing in line for, I don't know, I would guess that they'd be standing in line for half an hour or longer, and you'd want to get that down. So you have people, it's a sit-down and walk-in restaurant, I'm guessing. So you have people come in, so they put an app on their phone, and they can order as they're walking up, or as they're getting off work, or as they're sitting down at the table, correct?
Correct.
So we don't
use the at-table ordering yet at Max's because it's mostly just like a takeout situation, and you can get your food and walk to where we have seating inside the bar. So we don't use the function yet.
All right. So you see this in your own place, and you start using it, and it's working, and starts working well, I'm guessing. And you say, hey, we can make this work for other people. And so you start marketing it. Is that how this goes? Because Max, you have quite a background in marketing. I mean, you have marketing for larger items, gems, jewelry. I mean, you have quite a background in marketing as well. So do you just start marketing this thing, or how does that come about?
But we've been heads down building and testing and perfecting on our own selves. When you're the software for a restaurant, that's a pretty big piece. And, like anybody else with a conscience, we were nervous that we would go into a restaurant and, kind of hurt them if we went in too early. So we actually went live yesterday with one of our first quote unquote real customers. So that's exciting, but we think we're battle tested.
That's very exciting.
Thousands of orders through the system, and so far so good. And it's really about maximizing the flow. So, not every restaurant works the same. They all work very different, actually. So some you pay first, some you pay second. The way the traffic flows inside the restaurant, where you pick up, how you pick up, all that is very, very, it's different amongst all restaurants. So we tried to build it in a modular way where we can adapt to what the restaurant does. We don't want to force any solution down the restaurant's throat. We want them to be able to use it the way they already use their restaurant, and then we just kind of fall into the background.
Oh, sure. I can see how you'd want to do that, but I could also see how this, in my mind, just thinking about it, would be much easier for a restaurant to want to adapt an order and pay. I mean, especially if everything's touchless. Like, you could almost order and pay right away before anybody almost ever even sees your face. Just the way I'm thinking about it as we're talking about it before I ever even see the product. You could order, you could pay, the order could go into the kitchen, and then, before you ever even walk in the restaurant, everything could be done, and nobody even ever has to touch anything or see anything. I would think that'd be very attractive to almost any restaurant.
Yes, that's the way it's envisioned. That's the way it works. Some restaurants still want to use cash. Some want to do cash only. So we have an option for that. That's built into the solution. If they want to do a mix and match, that works too. So it's
bottom line, it's all
cool.
restaurants. All restaurants run differently, and we're building software. We're building a software to support every restaurant any way we can. So whether that's just giving them a host and waitlist manager to just run their waitlist, or to actually have them running their entire restaurant through a single screen. We're trying to provide technology wherever we can under one hood. That's another issue kind of that we're solving is the tablet hell, or a very complex tech stack. You're using 10 different softwares to try and run your business, and we're really trying to simplify that by putting everything under one hood.
Oh, good for you guys. That's, I guess in my mind, not ever having really been in the restaurant business, I figured it was probably a whole lot less complicated than it actually is. Not thinking that everything was quite as chaotic as it is. I thought everything was probably a little more simplified throughout the industry.
There's different.
Good for you guys.
There's different types of restaurants. You have chain restaurants with a lot of technology inside there, running it like clockwork. And then you have mom and pop shops that have almost nothing. So we're trying to level the playing field for the mom and pop shops and give them the same technology that the big boys use to run their restaurants. Like the Domino's Pizza of the world, they probably have the most technology out of anybody. If you look at Chick-fil-A, they are on headsets, computers. That place is running like a clock.
Well-oiled machine. Chick-fil-A is a well-oiled.
Yeah, and that I guess is what I'm more used to. I live in a small town out in northeastern Colorado, and that's really all we have is like the McDonald's and the Domino's and the Wendy's and the Burger, everything that's been established and run for quite some time. We do have a couple little sit down restaurants that are mom and pop style, but not nearly as many. So I guess I'm just used to seeing what my envision of all restaurants are, and so that's kind of where I'm coming from.
And as the customer,
it's very interesting.
You don't really want to know about the technology as a customer. You just want it to work and not have to think about it and get the order right and have it be hot. when it gets to you. So if everything's running
Right.
you never really see it, unless you do have a consumer-facing app to take those orders. So we've made that as simple as possible to try to get it to work.
Right. Well, good for you guys. That's awesome. I love how you guys have seen a pain point, made something for that, and then you tested it in your own facility. And then I'm sure there's been iteration after iteration after iteration within your own facility. You're like, man, we've got to make this better, make this better, make this better. And then yesterday you get a launch out into you've been using the real world in your own facility, but out, into the real world with somebody else. Like that's awesome. Good for you for, being able to get your first launch. That's awesome. And then, hopefully many, many more. That's what this is all about. So, how did you guys get hooked up together, and how's that going? Like, did you guys just start in this together? Did Jordan, you come work with Max at Max's Steaks and just off you guys went, or what?
Yeah, so I can kind of dig a little bit deeper into that. So I'm a fairly young professional. I graduated college in 2019. I was a baseball player, so I wasn't really that focused on my career. I am now, but for some reason then I was just very focused on baseball. So senior year came around, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I started in a sales job right out of college. Although I am definitely naturally a salesperson, that's what I was brought on to Budge for. It wasn't for me. It really just wasn't for me. And so I was networking while I was doing that. Every day I was talking to new people. Ran into Max in, I guess it was a Sam's Club one day, I think it was. And I pitched him what I was selling that day. And he was like, listen, man, I have no interest in what you're selling whatsoever, but I liked your pitch. You almost had me. And I'm doing this. It's a restaurant software. I'm building it for my own restaurant. If you ever are interested in maybe helping me out, here's my card. So a couple weeks down the line, quit my job, went with him. The rest is history 2 years later. So, yeah.
Wow. That's really cool.
Yeah. So interesting story.
It is. It is. And what I think is really fascinating about that is, you weren't interested really in doing this, and Max really wasn't necessarily, I don't know, were you really looking for somebody, or you just saw something in this kid that you just liked?
So I was looking for somebody, and like they say, slow to hire, fast to fire. You got to find the right person. And as Jordan's pitching me on, I think it was like home alarm software, I thought, wow, I'm not totally annoyed. Like, this guy's okay. I could, he's pleasant, and I think he can get it done. So I started pitching him, and there you go. We joined up.
Nice. That's awesome. I like that. So the co-founders for X-Fusion, they're kind of the odd couple, right? So one's an ex-Uber engineer, very, very engineer-minded, and great guy, but not what you would call necessarily a people person. And the other one, Jordan, I think you've met. His name is Jim, and he's very much a people person. But when it comes to technical stuff, like he's not that guy, right? You put them together, and that's all that ever plays in my mind is the theme for the odd couple. So they say when you get co-founders, it's good to have different types of people, and that works best. Do you find that to be true with you guys? Like, Max, you're a little bit older than Jordan. Do you guys come from different backgrounds? Does that work well for you guys, having one who's a little more seasoned, one who's younger? Does that seem to work well? Does that hold true?
I think it does work well. I think we're pretty similar, other than the age. And these days, age gap is a big deal. So he'll know about things that aren't even on my radar. So we kind of play off of one another. I'm kind of technical. Jordan's a little less technical, but more in the user experience. So those two things kind of go. He'll say, "This is what we need to do," and I'll say, "Okay, well, this is how we have to do that." And then we go to our team and kind of explain it to them.
Yeah, I think I definitely I compliment Max in the sense of playing devil's advocate. Whether I'm right or not, I like to play devil's advocate a lot and just get his brain turning a little bit more or get his brain going in sometimes a different direction than what it's going already. Just to play out scenarios, there's a lot of different situations where we need to build different iterations for different features and products and stuff like that. So just kind of playing out those scenarios in his brain, helping him play out those scenarios. I think that's where I come in. That's how I think we mesh well together.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think that's very good. Do you feel like you can? One of our core values here is candor, right? Like we feel that we have to just be able to be very candid with each other and not get offended, and be nice to each other, but just be very candid with each other. Do you guys have that with each other? Like if something's not going right or if something has to be said, do you have that ability just to be candid with each other and say, this isn't right, this isn't going well, or this needs to change?
Absolutely. We don't have time to beat around the bush and try to figure out what the other's saying. We need to, get there. So we do.
Yeah, great. So how do you guys divvy up the responsibilities with, with each other as co-founders?
Do you want to take this one, Max?
Go ahead.
Yeah. So I think as the relationship has kind of evolved, I think I've worked a little bit closer with the product in the sense of user experience and being in the backlog and prioritization and stuff like that. At the end of the day, everything does go through Max, so he does kind of have the final say. So I'm definitely in touch with the product and the kind of the micro vision, and then Max kind of has like the overseeing macro vision of like kind of if that makes sense, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that does make sense.
Yeah.
So with this kind of being more of a kind of a touchless deal, when COVID hit, did that kind of accelerate what you guys were trying to do or had to do with this?
Yes and no. I feel like once COVID hit, everybody was scrambling for a solution. We were pretty half-baked at the time, and they were just grabbing on for whatever they could get at the time. I feel like we weren't the easiest thing to find because we weren't really out there. I feel like there was a lot of adoption of technology, and now I feel like the restaurants are figuring out, okay, we did this to get through this. Now are we with the right partner? And I feel like a lot of them are realizing they're not. Some of these other solutions are either too narrow or too expensive.
Yeah. And we hadn't had our product used before COVID started. Obviously, we used it ourselves internally, but we had not released it to Max Steaks. So March 15th hit. They closed everything except for takeout, so we had to release it. That forced us to release our product. So I think that was a blessing in disguise. I think we would have waited longer, but I think just getting it out there was important. I think just that's like we've learned so much since just releasing it and taking orders. And I think people did catch up. It's not like we were like well ahead of the curve, but we definitely were building an innovative software, and we still are. But there were 6 years of innovation in that 1 year of COVID. So that really just took the food tech industry and just kind of hockey sticked it. And now kind of everyone's chomping at the bit, trying to build the next greatest thing for restaurants. You know what I mean?
Yeah, nothing like trial by fire.
Yeah.
Especially, last year. Like you either had to succeed or close. And that was rough for a lot of people. So I'm glad that you guys were able to get that out. I'm glad that you guys were able to succeed. How is the food scene up there in Philadelphia now? Like, I know that, you know, the new variant is kind of striking back, and how are you guys doing now?
I don't think it's affecting us that much. I feel like people are still going about their business. They're wearing masks and they're being a little bit more careful, but they're still going out and doing what they're doing.
Yeah,
There's a mask
same
mandate.
way here.
Yeah.
Is there?
So they brought back the masks just for like indoor dining and stuff, but it doesn't really change the experience that much when you sit down. The restaurants are still great. The food still tastes great. So I think that's what matters most. And the restaurants are, at least the ones down here, a lot of them seem to be surviving. So I think that's a good thing.
That's good to hear. I know around here, people are just like, I just want to get back to normal, and you know, whatever normal looks like now. I just want to get back to being as normal as we can be, and they're just like, whatever we need to do, we're just going to do. So, no, I'm glad to hear that. So, with your background, Max, you have quite an extensive background in gemology and jewels, and with that background, why restaurants and food? And was it just something that was in your family and your background? Like, why this direction?
I love software. I love to build things. Saw a need and a use case for restaurant ordering. Like, you know, I would go out to dinner with my kids, and we would sit there, and we were waiting for the waitress, and you have to wait a little bit too long sometimes, and they finally come over, and you take your order, and then they get it wrong. So like, oh, wouldn't it be great if you could just order from your phone? So we wouldn't have to wait. We don't have to have anxiety that's going to be wrong. Our check would be there on our phone when we're ready to leave. We just hit the button and pay. So it's kind of, sometimes kids say, well, why don't we just do that? And, you know, without thinking of what it's going to take or how long or how much money and effort, you go, yeah, let's do that. So we did that.
Nice. Cool. What keeps you, like, with this, what keeps you guys up at night? Like, do you guys have anything that just really irritates you about this whole thing? Not necessarily with Budge, but just with the industry as a whole, the way it's going. Like, what really bugs you guys about the way things are going?
You know, I used to get bothered by things like that, and now it's just we're building what we're building. We have our blinders on. As long as we keep moving forward and making progress with our product, kind of just close our eyes to the rest of the world / industry and trying to build a product that we can be proud of.
Nice.
Yeah. And I just want to get this thing out here. I want to help restaurants. So I think that's what keeps me up at night. We are building a great product, and I think that it does. Building a POS, especially, or anything with POS functionality, is very extensive, and it takes a couple years at least. What keeps me up at night is the eagerness to just help restaurants any way we can, help them save money, help them not stress out about shopping for technology or having to deal with 10 different providers. And it's exciting. I just want to help people. I want to help restaurants. I think that's what our mission here is, just to take their stress away with the idea of just shopping and paying for this stuff and committing to it. You know what I mean?
So having said that, Jordan, is this something that you, like, you've been around restaurants and stuff for a couple generations, but going into this area, is this something that's a new experience for you, as in the way that I want to make sure I put this correctly.
Yeah.
The way that everything is handled with the pain point that you're trying to reach, the niche that you're trying to reach, is this just a whole new mentality of what you're trying to? Man, I guess I don't know how. I'm not I'm trying to say I'm sorry. With how you're trying to, what you guys are trying to fix, is this just a whole? Did a light come on for you when you got with Max and say, hey, I want to fix this? So did it just light a fire under your butt to say,
Yeah, I get what you're saying. So I work.
Okay,
I work
thank you, because I guess I don't.
Yeah, so I worked in restaurants all throughout high school, even a little bit into college. I was here in and out of restaurants. I was a busboy. I was a server. My family are foodies. Like, we love going out to eat and stuff like that. Every restaurant you go to, you see these dated back end computer screens, and I can't imagine them being intuitive, or give you any sort of edge in like this digitally dominant era of restaurants. So I saw that, and I was like, wow, like how is that sustainable? How is that scalable? Like, as from a business perspective, like from the POS side of the providers, and then also like yes, restaurants will get by with what they have now in those like dated POS systems, but like I see the scalability with what we're working on. I see how just how much easier it is to onboard. You don't have to have a guy come out and it takes 7 hours to install the hardware, and then it takes 2 hours to install the software, and like it's just old. Like it was just dated, and I saw that. So when I poked through Budge for the first time, I was like, wow, like I don't need any gatekeepers. I don't have to talk to a salesperson. I can just make an account, sign on, and start taking orders, and use it however I want to. So I think there's value. Like, from the start, I knew there was value, and I knew that it could, that we could provide value to restaurants. So
Nice.
Yeah.
So just sets a newfound excitement in you.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So does this something that can it saves money for the restaurants, I'm guessing, but not only in the way that they can order and implement. Does it save money in staffing and all that as well? Can they save on people not having to go to tables? Explain that to me. Like, how does that side of it work as well?
It's like a crowdsourced wait staff. So if the customers are self-ordering through phones, you don't need as many staff in the front of the house. So if it would take 5 waitresses, you could probably do with 3 or 4. So the people that are still there have a little less to do. They don't have to take the orders. They just have to deliver the orders. They just have to walk over and see how you're doing. If you have any questions, if there's any specials that they want to talk to you about, it frees up the staff to be less robotic and more, involved with the customers. And then same thing with the back of the house. The orders don't have to get written down on a piece of paper by the wait staff and then plugged in and then wind up in the kitchen. They go right to the kitchen. So there's less chance for error. There's less possibility of it getting, of slowing down. And then things are easily repeatable. You ordered a drink, but you want another one, you swipe right and you get another drink. It goes right into the kitchen.
Nice.
So we help save on the labor costs, just by minimizing the labor for the staff. We also help the operators save money on their hardware. Our software works on anything that has internet, or has browser accessibility. So you could technically run it on your iPhone if you wanted to. And from a software perspective, our software is completely free. We don't charge right now. We don't charge the restaurant anything to use our software. So with that being said, the barrier of entry is rather low, and the commitment is low. And I think that's a big thing that a lot of operators are worried about nowadays, getting stuck in the long-term contracts and stuff like that. So we're definitely minimizing the costs of labor, hardware, and software. We believe.
We do add a 25 cent.
So
We do add a 25 cent convenience fee on a check, not based on spend, just based on our check. And then we do give the ability for the customer to opt out and not pay that if they don't think we're worth it. But so far, about 97% of people pay. They're happy to pay it.
okay. So that was my next question then, was how do you monetize that? And that's how, just 25 cents for each check.
Yes.
But I mean, you get enough checks. I mean, that'll be quite a bit of money. That's like going to an ATM and charging 25 cents per transaction. That adds up pretty quick.
That's 300 orders a week. That's enough.
Yeah.
That's for us. 200 orders a week. That's enough.
Yeah, that's plenty. No, that's fantastic. And I'm sure that's very attractive to the business itself. Like, yeah, we'll take that and not pay and let the customers pay. So then for the back end, like they can just use whatever they have. They don't have to get anything from you. They can just whatever computers or whatever they have already. So they don't have to order anything extra. Everything they already have, they can use.
If they want to use real kitchen printers, like thermal paper printers, that they have to purchase. So if they want tickets to come out printed, that is something they'd have to buy, but they'd have to buy that with pretty much any system. So that's something to think about. If they wanted to go paperless and use just screens, they could use just screens. They're interactive for the chefs to, clear the orders off the screen as they do them.
I don't know, guys. That sounds pretty darn good. Sounds like you guys have thought quite a bit. And I've also seen that you have quite a few videos on YouTube there, Jordan, kind of explaining a lot of this stuff as well. So for any of you that are watching this, if you want to go to YouTube and watch Jordan Silverman's videos explaining a lot of this stuff, you can watch those as well.
I'm glad you checked those out.
Yeah, I watched a couple of them. I didn't have time to watch all of them, obviously. Otherwise, I probably would have been more well versed on what we were talking about. I did run out of time, but I did see that they were on there. So, any of you restaurateurs that are interested in this, that's a good reference to go see. So, any advice to founders and co-founders that are watching this, since I have both of you on here, any advice that you would want to give to them about working with your co-founder closely, especially in times like this, working with somebody younger or somebody older, any advice you'd want to give to them?
What do you want that one? Yeah, sure. So in my little time as a founder, I think we've been in the trenches for a little bit, just building and building and building, and it's not like, it is definitely gratifying building a product, but at the same time, if you're not making money off of it, the money that you want to make off of it, you're not getting the return you want. It might seem tough, and I think a lot. It's very roller coastery. There's a lot of ups. There's a lot of downs. Feeling great on some things, and then some things make you feel really bad. And it's really just a matter of staying even keel throughout all of that. And I think that's something that I've just learned from Max, and I'm going to continue to try and just stay that way. And yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. Just rolling with the punches, not getting too high, not getting too low, and just kind of staying even keel and working hard, putting in the time and working hard. That's really it.
Okay. And it says on your LinkedIn, Max, you're an experienced owner with a demonstrated history of working in the retail industry. So, that being said, what makes a good leader?
I think to be a leader, you have to believe in yourself. You have to be able to do the job. So whatever it is, if you're leading a bunch of guys, shoveling a driveway, you want to know how to shovel a driveway so that when a guy isn't doing it right, you can go in there and just fix it and keep going. So as long as everybody's going the same direction, it's like coaching. So you have to be a good listener, and then you have to be a good explainer, and then you have to diagnose and go back to explaining. So just keep everybody focused, going in the right direction, keep spirits high. I don't know. It seems to just kind of come naturally. Just kind of do what you do.
Well, I think you guys have a good product. I think anybody that's in the restaurant business that's watching this should take a look at it and go watch your videos on YouTube if they're interested. Budge.tech is a good place to go look and see if they're interested in the technology. And anything else that they're interested in getting a hold of you, how else would they be able to get a hold of you guys?
I think there's a phone number on there you can call. You can email us. We'll email you right back. If you want us to call you, just let us know. We'll call you back. Very accessible.
Very accessible.
Yeah. Phone lines are always open. Email is always open. Email inbox is always open. It's right at the bottom of budge.tech. And if you want to schedule a demo with us, you want to check out the software, feel free. You can visit our website and find it there. Schedule a time with me. And, go through the website. That's really how you can get a hold of us.
All right. And if you're in Philadelphia, go get an arm-length, foot-long Philly cheesesteak. If I ever make it that way, I'm going to go get a arm-length, foot-long Philly cheesesteak or an arm-length Philly cheesesteak. Gentlemen, it was really great to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Anything else you'd like to add before we close this thing out?
Nope. Thanks for having us. I really appreciate it.